So we've got a little bit more Aiyuk news. This coming from Ian Rappaport saying he would be a little bit surprised if Aiyuk sets foot on the field without an extension. And Aiyuk is putting up more Instagram posts, and this one's not all that cryptic, but everyone's giving it a whirl on social media because he put up this particular song, "Help Me," while he was driving down the street. So people were kind of running with it today. But it's been very quiet on the Aiyuk front until Schefter and this post right here. Aiyuk hasn't posted much at all on social media. So whenever he posts anything, people run to it, post it, talk about it. You know, I'm doing it too. We're trying to make heads and tails of it. But this most recent report by Schefter saying he'd be a little surprised if he sets foot on the field without an extension is kind of the way I'm feeling as well about this situation. I still think very much that Aiyuk wants to get a deal done and stay put in San Francisco if he can get paid the right amount of money. But I think almost an equal desire he has to go play football with Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels most certainly wants that. So I think as the coming weeks approach, we will hear some trade talk, some trade rumors, some requesting a trade type of buzz, whether it comes from Aiyuk's mouth, whether it gets leaked by his agent, whether it's a soft, request like Deebo Samuel's. If you remember when Deebo Samuel went and did a behind closed doors, not recorded interview and released his soft request for trade in that interview. Didn't actually officially request it. The Niners never granted a trade request, and maybe the Niners never grant an Aiyuk trade request. But Aiyuk's money is becoming a problem. The amount of money that Aiyuk wants, the Niners. This is a report by, I think this was on the Herd, right? The Herd, the highest paid wide receivers in the league. They were going over this. $35 million to Justin Jefferson, $32 million to A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 30, Tyreek Hill, 30, Jalen Waddle, 28.3. And the conversation everybody's speaking around in terms of the amount of money that Aiyuk's going to get is in the Amon-Ra St. Brown territory, the $30 million per year. That is what Aiyuk wants. That's what Aiyuk is seeking. The Niners apparently do not want to pay him that amount of money. The Niner fan base doesn't even want to pay him that amount of money. We got a little bit of Aaron Rodgers news. We talked about St. Brown yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Saquon Barkley. I did a video earlier. If anybody didn't see the Trade Talk video, go check out the Trade Talk video that's up on the Fantasy Football Show YouTube main page. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
File on in. This was interesting, this Aaron Rodgers. Let's go straight to this thing. He was walking and golfing, right? And this guy asked him a question. I forget who it was, if it was some random dude or if it was a TMZ guy or whatever. Vegas Sports TD. I don't know who the hell that is. But the guy asked him about the offense over in LV and whether Adams was going to get taken care of. And he's like, I love him. He goes, I also love Devonte Adams. Can't wait to play with him again. And then just kind of, and the reporter didn't follow up. He's like, okay, what about golf? And everyone's like, again? And there have been rumors this week, like as of yesterday, the day before, that Rodgers is still whispering in his ear. And then he went on Up and Adams, and Adams went on the show Up and Adams with Kay Adams and started talking about whether there's a chance that him and Rodgers could get reunited. And he's like, I'm a Raider. He kind of shot it down, but he did say yes. He confirmed that Aaron Rodgers is still in his ear about playing football with him. So I don't know if this is an active, constant, hey, Aaron Rodgers tells his staff, go get me Devonte Adams, figure it out. and they're continuously working. I don't think Adams is available. I don't think the Raiders want to trade him. But I will say that the Raiders should trade him. The Raiders don't have a team that can even win, and Adams is on his last leg. There's no way Adams is playing elite football for 2 more years. Maybe 1 if we're lucky, and he's one of my biggest avoids this year, given his offense. Now, if Adams was traded to the Jets or traded somewhere where he could get fed more from a good quarterback, I'd take him off the planet Uranus board. I would.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
But I'm not taking him off this board because his current situation is in Las Vegas with a carousel of garbage quarterback play. Not that Minshew's a bad, an awful backup or something, but if that's your starter, O'Connell, who's starting? Do I like O'Connell? I did at one time. I admittedly thought maybe there was some potential there, but that's the nature of football, and we didn't see anything emerge. And if Adams does stay in LV, he's going to be wasting away there. If Pierce thinks he can win, then he's even more of a. I like Pierce. I like Pierce because he seems like a player's coach. The players love him, and he seems like a good guy. I don't mean this to come off in the wrong way, but I don't think he's made to be a head coach yet. Maybe he could have got there. I think he got shoved into this role a little early because he's a motivational man. He says the right things. People love to play for him. I'm not saying he can't get there, but this man botched the quarterback position during the 2024 NFL draft. I've never seen somebody shit the bed so hard than Pierce and the Raiders when they allowed Nix and Penix Jr. to get taken right before their picks, or before their pick, and they just allowed it. They didn't get aggressive. They didn't think, oh, this could go awry, when there are people out there like me talking about Penix Jr. going inside the top 10, and I got laughed at for that prediction for a while. But I know a lot of people, including myself, didn't anticipate him to go to the Falcons, which I'm glad he did. Anybody that doesn't see the silver lining in Penix Jr. in Atlanta doesn't know ball.
Mashed potatoes!
We love it. But I've never seen a coach crap the bed so hard in their first, introduction to football, head coaching. I just, so to think you could win, I'd even have bigger questions about Pierce. If he thinks he can win with Devonte Adams in this team. I love Zamir White. Zeus is our man. He's a moon man extraordinaire. Look at the man on the moon man list.
The moon man.
We love Zeus.
Dropping
We love him.
loads in outer.
But this is going to be a rough year for the LV Raiders. Raiders probably looking at a top 3 pick. I would guess top 3 overall pick. But we will see. We will see. Blake, someone put Blake in timeout, and let's let Blake chill out. Blake, from the beginning, what are you saying here? Put Blake in timeout just for a little bit. Let's let Blake think about his actions and if he wants to come back and be a civilized human being. So think about that for a little bit, Blake. Okay, I would be a little surprised if he sets foot on the field without an extension, says Ian Rappaport. He also made a few other comments. Let me see if I can pull up this actual report of Ian Rappaport speaking about this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Hold on one second. Let me find Ian. Where are you? Ian Rappaport. Let me see if I can. I think it's right here. So this is the Brock. He talked about Brock Purdy as well. And
Give some hints about how he's feeling, or how he wishes he was feeling.
He wishes the Niners wanted him.
We've seen him share a little.
Let me see if I can find this piece right here. There you go.
Not happy about where his contract extension stands. He does not show up. Now the big question, of course, is Aiyuk going to show up for training camp? And you figure if he was willing to take that strong of a stance for minicamp, perhaps he could do the same for training camp.
So that's what Rappaport said, that if he's going to take that stance, perhaps he's going to take the same stance for training camp, which I think is an accurate assumption.
Does want a contract extension. I would be surprised. We'll see. But I would be a little surprised now if he sets foot on the field without an extension. So we certainly...
So that's what we're looking at right now. Do I want him in San Francisco or do I want Aiyuk in Washington from a fantasy football perspective? Probably say Washington. Playing with a QB that has clearly been able to provide enough footballs to make multiple stud wide receivers. I think the natural instinct a human being has is to say, oh, rookie QB, he's a running quarterback. He can't possibly feed the wide receiver room enough. Like, we're far better off with Brock Purdy throwing the football to Kittle, to Aiyuk, to Debo, to Christian McCaffrey, to Jawan 19-catch Jennings, to now Ricky Pearsall. But that is a crowded room. And while McLaurin and Dotson and Ben Sinnott and Eckler, if he's still got a little bit left, is not like the most uncrowded room, Aiyuk would immediately float to the top of the totem pole. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's got the rapport with JD5. They are absolute best friends. They've shoved the bunk beds together. They have more room for activities. They're ready to dominate as a duo if this thing gets greenlit and we see a trade happen. Doesn't mean that McLaurin's a bad receiver. It just means McLaurin's probably taking a backseat to Brandon Aiyuk a little bit. This would be bad for Dotson probably, because Dotson has a real chance to bounce back. But I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about getting JD5 what he needs to be JD5 a little bit quicker. And I think that, you have Ricky Pearsall coming out onto the scene. I don't think this is something that if Aiyuk isn't going to get a long-term deal and play out his fifth-year option, let's say that's what we're talking about, then he's going to get essentially not nudged out, but he's going to see a lot of his volume potentially be offered up at some point to Ricky Pearsall, because why invest in Brandon Aiyuk when you have to get Ricky ready for the big dance? Ricky's going to take over his job if he walks in Aiyuk with a fifth-year option as his contract and what they're paying him. Now, if Aiyuk gets a long-term deal, I do believe Debo's then the guy that's at risk of losing his job in San Francisco. Is there a world where Brock Purdy gets brought in, signs a $60+ million deal in 2025 when he's eligible to get extended? He's not yet. But if he goes into 2025, gets his $60+ million per season deal, Aiyuk signs his deal this offseason here, and then Debo stays on the team. Ricky Pearsall gets developed slower than they expect or than they need to. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it would be the way to go with the likelihood of Christian McCaffrey dropping off the face of the earth in 2025. There's a strong chance that happens if he doesn't have that drop beforehand. A Niner fan won't understand that comment. They'll be like, did he just say CMC might not live forever? Christian McCaffrey drops off. You probably want to have Aiyuk, Debo, Ricky Pearsall in a much more, downfield throw-heavy system. Like, you're eventually going to have to... Now, maybe Guarendo's the guy. I love Guarendo. I love Isaac Guarendo. Maybe he turns into the future. That I'm excited about the prospect of that. But we'll find out what's in store for Aiyuk here soon. I think that things will either get very bad very soon, or they'll get all wrapped up and Aiyuk gets his contract. I don't think this thing will trickle into mid-August. You never know. If it does, it's going to get really messy. If Aiyuk doesn't get his contract very soon, I believe we'll start seeing rumblings about it. I don't know if the Commanders have any interest anymore. We haven't heard anything from the Commanders for a while. We haven't heard anything speculatively about the Commanders in a while, actually, because the Commanders haven't really come out and said much. The last report we had was Schefter saying that the Niners never truly wanted to trade Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel, and then like a week later said that there was a deal potentially in place. All of a sudden, right? And Aiyuk even tweeted, or he responded to that, and I think a comment. He said, "I thought there wasn't a trade lined up," like making fun of all the fake news reports, even coming from Schefter and Rappaport and everybody, that suggested that there was never truly a potential trade on the table, and that the Niners were never taking it seriously, which is a bunch of BS, because as soon as they freaked out and knew they couldn't sign Aiyuk to a long-term deal, the moment that A.J. Brown's deal was announced 12 minutes before the draft started, A.J. Brown, the Eagles playing 5D chess on everybody, especially the Niners, said, "Here's A.J. Brown's deal. Here's A.J. Brown's deal. Let's give him $84 million guaranteed." And now the Niners go, holy shit. We were about to maybe trade Aiyuk. Now we can't even trade him. Now we might need to trade Deebo. What do we do? We got to get rid of somebody. They take Ricky Pearsall. I think it's a good pick. Like, at the end of the day, it's going to be a good pick. It was early. They definitely freaked out. They definitely grabbed him early. There is the fact that they have the fifth-year option now by making him a first-rounder, so there's that strategy involved, and I do see that. I do expect, that is as part of the rationale that we'll find out later is why they took him there instead of taking him later. I get it. There's a lot of upside in Ricky Pearsall. We saw it before the Niners ever even contemplated taking him. This is a guy we love, Ricky Pearsall. He's fantastic. Garendo as well. These are two very good picks by the Niners, to be honest. They're just not necessarily, it felt like they reached in the draft. They didn't know what they were doing. They were scrambling with like a chicken with their head cut off. They didn't have Adam Peters for the very first time. And then we hear, they never even took it very seriously, trading Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel. That's because the Eagles chopped their heads off, their trade heads off. They weren't even allowed to potentially navigate any sort of trade situation because of what the Eagles did on draft day 12 minutes before the draft began, which was, again, 5D chess to everybody else's checkers. The Eagles have been tearing it up the entire offseason. The Eagles are doing what everybody else should be doing. Bringing in Saquon Barkley, smash. Fixing their offensive defensive coordinator situation, smash. Bringing in a guy that's going to open up this offense and utilize all these weapons, a proven guy in Kellen Moore, who did what he did in Dallas, and you're going to see all that same good stuff in Philly. Signing both wide receivers, Devonte Smith and A.J. Brown, to long-term deals, making them happy. This team drafting defensive players, fixing every hole they can possibly fix. The Philadelphia Eagles are on a mission. On a mother-freaking mission. Going to be unbelievable this year. It's going to be, if the Niners can stay healthy, they still have a tremendous amount of talent, as much as anybody in the National Football League. The Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers, two of the very best teams in the NFC in terms of talent. Of course, the Lions are right up there. No one's saying they aren't up there. The Falcons are up there. No one's saying they're not. The Rams are in the mix too. This is a very, very tough NFC conference. But there are two teams that stand out a little bit, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers from not a fantasy football, from an NFL perspective, but also a fantasy football perspective. Lions are going to give everybody a run for their money, no doubt about it. The Falcons are going to try and turn some heads, and they're going to do so. And Green Bay ain't going away easy. And if Washington gets Aiyuk, does anybody really think this can't be the Houston Texans of 2024? Not 2025, 2024. If they get Brandon Aiyuk, they could do some special things right away. Not to mention they could almost do those anyway. JD5 is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm going to give him a year. I'm not judging at all. I won't be judging even after a year. This guy's going to prove me right. I know that. He's absolute marvel. He's the next Lamar Jackson. He's going to be better than Lamar Jackson on every front. And that rubs people the wrong way. That rubs people the wrong way when people can't think ahead. Oh, Smitty, you can't say something like that. I can and I will, and I did. And I'll continue to. Things are uncomfortable until they're not. This is the way that life is. Washington's O-line is still bad. Bro, you don't even know how bad or good they are because they haven't been able to have an offense that can that can necessarily move the football consistently. When you have a running quarterback like JD5, on top of better coaching, on top of a whole bunch of other things, like being able to spread the ball around, it changes everything about your offensive line production, number one. This is proven time and time again, proven in Arizona, when Arizona had such a bad offensive line runner, such a bad offensive line. Bring in Kurt Warner, you don't ever hear about it again. Niners, such a bad offensive line, they coached that thing up. Did pretty well last year. Made it to a Super Bowl. So same thing about Jets. Jets do this. Jets have a bad offensive line. Breece Hall was the second best running back in the league last year. How bad could it have been? Not to mention, they improved it. But even if they didn't, the mere presence of Aaron Rodgers would have fixed nearly all of it. Like, you got to stop looking at the metrics and the data that don't have all the whole story packed right into it, runner. Doesn't matter. Washington's line's 10 times better with the presence of JD5 alone. Not to mention they're making improvements on top of that. Not to mention a new staff involved. You can coach up a line. There's so many teams that coach up a line year in and year out. Not saying there aren't fixes that need to be had. Not saying don't bring guys in. But to actually try and translate last year's offensive line to this year and say something like that, runner, I don't think it's not a good look. That's all I'm going to say. I appreciate you, though, but that's not the way it works. Things don't just translate over from one year to the next when you have completely different variables from top to bottom. Completely. London to the moon says, Marty, you're absolutely right. We got 2 super chats here. Hedges dropping a $5 hauler. So glad I took your advice early in the offseason and traded Aiyuk for Drake London. That's a smash, bro. That's an absolute smash.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy. Jeez, bro. I'm glad you took that advice, too. It seems even better every day we move on. I like Aiyuk. Even if Aiyuk gets traded to the Washington Commanders, I still rather have Drake London by a country mile. Is a fantastic move. Traded Tank and McConkey for Metcalf and PPR. Bryson, I think we touched on this the other day. DK Metcalf and Tank are pretty close in my book. It's one of those things where, like, in one league I want Tank, in the other league I want DK. I love both of them. I think DK is a little bit safer because he feels like the bona fide number one wide receiver, and Tank is certainly capable of it. We love Tank Dell. We are a Tank Dell people here. We're very, 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 very thankful people. I'm thankful. You're thankful. We're all thankful of Tank Dell. There's no doubt about it. We love him. But, I could argue they're equal, and you threw in McConkey. I don't know. I think they're both fantastic. They're both very, very equivalent to being, the same type of value. Appreciate you for the super chat, my guy. But I'm Billy, says Rock Out. I don't know what that means, but rock out to the mother freaking moon. Appreciate you.
To the moon.
Did I say something one time, Billy? Hey, Billy. Okay, Rock Out, thank you for dropping the super chat. My mang. Dial into the phone line, brought to you by the Addict.shop.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. That Aaron Rodgers clip is wild. Can't wait to play with. I love Devonte Adams. Can't wait to play with him again. He just walks off. Like, how many? Wait a minute. He's playing 1, 2, maybe 2, maybe 1, maybe 2 more years. I'm trying to do my math here. Aaron Rodgers, 1, 2. Okay, 2. That means Devonte Adams is going to be a New York Jet within 1 to 2 years. Like, it's almost like he said that, long career ahead of him. Like, yeah, can't wait to someday our paths cross in the NFL again, and they will. I can't wait to play with him again. It's like, bro, you might have 1 year left. This is happening this year. It's wild. I hope it happens. Travis, you are live.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
So Adams to the Jets, that would be awesome, obviously. But I see a lot of people in the comments saying, "Oh, it would be great if he's isn't on the Raiders anymore because then Bowers and Jacoby Myers would go to the moon," which I completely disagree with because, one, I think Jacoby Myers is capped. He could get a few more yards maybe, but he's about what he is. And Bowers, I don't buy into that the wide receivers take away from the tight ends all that much. I mean, it depends on the offense, but if Adams is gone, the amount of coverage that's going to go to Myers and Bowers just gets ramped up that much more too. So I'm not so sure that's a good thing for them. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't see how this offense, like, maybe Bowers gets more targets or something. Like, I could see that. I could see somebody going. Sure, yeah. I could see somebody going with Adams gone. Bowers is going to eat even more. Like, I could see that. But Jacoby, maybe he becomes a little more relevant or something. No doubt about it. To the moon, though, I think Bowers is already potentially that kind of guy anyway. I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with Bowers going to the moon. Someone could say that, but Jacoby not going to the moon. He would definitely be relevant. He'd be relevant. He'd be maybe space station worthy or something like that. He could visit for a day, but he's not even staying there that long. Like, this is a guy I like. I understand everybody's real high on Jacoby. They want him to be a stud. But the Raiders are only going to get worse if they lose Devonte Adams. They're going to live in the red zone less. They're going to score less touchdowns. They're going to potentially see more hospital balls. Bowers, like, this is a total reckless comment, but the odds of Bowers getting injured might even go up a slight smidge if Adams gets traded. Because guess what? Guess who's getting double teamed a little more? Guess what happens when you get double teamed? You take bigger hits. You have more likelihood of injury. So I don't like, that's why Adams hates. There's a report that came out. I don't know how accurate it is, but it came out today. I should have put that on screen as well. I'll just verbalize it. But the report said that Devonte Adams, one of his, you could say, requests or demands for staying in Las Vegas. I don't know if this is true or not. I just saw it floating around everywhere. Was that he demanded that Jimmy not be the quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. And I was saying that from the beginning. This guy throws hospital balls for a living. And Devonte Adams, one of the biggest reasons I didn't like him a ton last year at a certain cost of entry, there was a point where trading for him was wise. There was a point of trading for even Eckler, who was one of my biggest avoids last year. Eckler, avoid him at all costs. He'll take your season down. One of the biggest no draft players we landed last year. But there was a point in the season where it started to become, okay, maybe it's time to swoop in and take them for free. There's always that line in the sand, even for players that are complete avoids. People get real confused about my content in that. They say, Smitty, why are you talking about trading for Eckler this week, like week 8 or whatever it was? And I'm like, because he's practically free now. Like, we maybe take a stab here or there in 1 or 2 leagues if he's free. Just because I said don't take somebody doesn't mean the circumstances don't change. It's all about ADP. So Adams is a player I did not want to draft last year. Jacobs as well, because of a number of factors. Number 1, the Raiders were going to suck. Number 2, Jimmy Garoppolo is awful, and he throws hospital balls. Number 3, those hospital balls would lead to potential injury for Adams and other players. Number 4, you have the likelihood of both these guys still a threat today for the Raider players. You have the likelihood of Adams or Jacobs or both of them by about week 14, 15 saying, oh, I got a little hamstring problem. I'm going to sit out the rest of the year and save myself for my next contract. And what happened? Yeah, one of those things happened. I still feel that's on the table for Adams and why he becomes an avoid for me. He's a Planet Uranus men list guy because of him being as old as he is. This is probably his last potential elite year, and he's playing in this garbage carousel of quarterback situation. And then on top of that, it's hospital balls. Will Adams be given hospital balls all year long? The answer is probably, because O'Connell's not quite there yet. Minshew's, he's good, but he's not great by any means. And the likelihood of him staying healthy is slim to none. Not to mention, Minshew's good when he's in a good system, but this is not a great team right now. So I just don't like it. Does Adams have value to me had he fallen to like round 4? Sure. Because then we're talking about the same effect of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, who's becoming a little less attractive every time he moves up ADP boards, but was going around 4. I love that. Adams is going around 2. Adams goes around 2. Kupp goes in 3, 4. There's a big difference. Eckler, I hated Eckler last year. Eckler's going practically free. I'm okay taking that risk in 1 or 2 leagues when he costs you nothing. Everything's about ADP, and Adams going in the second round is just too rich. There's too many red flags.
Yeah, and that was just my point on, Bowers and Myers not necessarily being that much better off if Adams leaves, is because, especially Bowers as a rookie, like I think Bowers is going to be good right away, but think about what that team is now. You take Devonte Adams off of it, and Jacoby Myers is your number 1. And Bowers, like you said, targets can go up, but how often are they in the red zone? Just, again, I don't think they'd be better. I'd love to see Adams on the Jets, though. So.
There's a lot of people saying the Carolina Panthers, Adams to the Panthers rumors have been circulating. The Jets, obviously it's constantly being talked about. But Aaron Rodgers saying on the golf course while he was walking being interviewed, I love Devonte Adams and can't wait to play with him again. That was wild. Because it's not like, I don't know. It was just he doesn't have, like I said, he doesn't have much time to play. So that means this year, like he's trying to make it happen. No one's saying it's going to happen, but he thinks he's playing 2 more years, but he's also made it known that he'd like to maybe play more if he could, or if his body will let him. But we all know we're guaranteed nothing with Aaron Rodgers. We're probably looking at 1 year, and we'll be hopeful that we could get 2 elite years out of him. But to say I can't wait to play with him again, it's such a finite amount of time with him. It just makes you think, oh God, is he constantly pushing for this thing? Is Aaron Rodgers at his brass and ownership the same way that JD5 might be for Aiyuk? It's tough to say, but it definitely is going to be something we haven't heard the end of. Let me go. Do you got anything else, Travis?
No, you go.
All right, go ahead. John, you're live.
Hey, Smitty, I wanted to get your thoughts on Clint Kubiak, the currently new offensive coordinator at the Saints. I know it's kind of old news, but I wanted to get your thoughts on him and whether or not he can propel Kendre Miller, Rashid Shaheed, and Chris Olave to new levels or at least outperform their ADP.
My concern with you saying Saints, all the Saints players, my concern with the Saints players has everything to do with Derek Carr. And I'm hoping that Rattler, who's not guaranteed anything, like as much as we want to get excited, I do feel like Rattler will be starting some games this year, though. And if he starts, he goes in and he doesn't come out, or he busts. One of the 2 things is going to happen. I cannot, for the life of me, envision Derek Carr playing both good and staying healthy. Maybe he plays good and we're like, whoa, okay, wait a minute, and then he gets hurt. Or he plays kind of like last year, gets hurt, keeps going back in. It's like, sit down. Not only are you bad when and I'm not saying Carr can't rebound. There were times where Carr was a good quarterback. And Carr did feed Devonte Adams so much production. We know he can do that with Olave. But as his time passed, his moving teams, changed him as he dropped off. That thing, that happens, Like you aren't just the same player 4 years, 3 years later. Like things happen. So when Carr would get hurt and then he was already playing bad and then he'd go out there playing hurt, it's like, how in the hell is anybody letting this guy go out there injured when he played horrible when he was healthy? So I don't know what's in store for the Saints. I feel like the Saints, like the Raiders, completely sharted their pants in the offseason. I swear to you, I don't understand it. I know it sounds arrogant, but I swear I could take either one of those teams and turn them around. I don't understand. You give me total control. Justin Fields would have been on one of these rosters. And even if it didn't work out, it would have been an amazing attempt. Like, why the Saints don't have Justin Fields right now is beyond me. Why the Raiders don't have Justin Fields right now is beyond me. And you can say whatever the hell you want about Justin Fields. He can't read defenses. He looks bad. Tell me that he's not a better option. Somebody you could work on, a project, if you will, to improve those things than to go in with Derek Carr. You could have Fields and Rattler too if you wanted. That didn't have to change. You have Fields and you have Rattler, or you have Minshew, Fields, and O'Connell. What the hell's wrong with these organizations? I swear to you, I sometimes sit here and I go, how are these people in charge? How are these people in charge? And how do people not stand up and not say? How do they not say something? How is somebody in Dallas not going, Jerry, you can fire me, but what in the hell are you doing? Sign Dak and sign him now. Get CeeDee Lamb signed. What in the hell are you doing? And then you'd be fired, but you'd make a big splash. You'd have a big social media account at that point. You could maybe do social media. I wouldn't sit on my hands and be quiet. But I just can't believe that the Saints don't have a better QB situation. I can't believe, and hopefully Rattler's it. I do like the idea of Rattler. I really do. I think Rattler has the potential. But to not go get Penix Jr. and get aggressive, to not go get Fields and get aggressive, Pierce, the Saints, a number of other teams should be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
Out of the three players I mentioned, Kendra, Rashid, Olave, do you think any of them can, there's some news that he wants to do more of a run-heavy type thing. Do you think Kendra could leap up to like 6th-round value, 5th-round value?
I don't think he should be there. No, because Kamara is like flirting with the 5-round territory. You start drafting Kendra and Kamara at 5 and 6 back-to-back or something, you're looking at Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and that never served anybody. I guess Chubb did, but I don't know that you want to draft that player that high.
Not in current drafts, but his performance, he'll have been worth taking that early.
I think what you want to do is cuff him. I think Kamara still has potentially one good year left because he's a hybrid back, because he's had so much time off in conjunction with that. It's a rare case that I'd ever promote drafting a 29-year-old running back. But because he is Kamara, because he's not going in the 2nd round, 3rd round, or even 4th round, we're talking about a very nice gamble in round 4, 5, 6, depending on what we're talking about. Like Kamara, what's Kamara? Travis, do you have Kamara's ADP offhand? I want to say it's around 5.
I can grab it right here.
And Kendre Miller, like, you cuff them together, it's a pretty solid running back too. Like, if you're gonna go hero RB and you go your 2nd running back a little early, what?
77. So that's 6. Round 6, round 7.
So that's good. That's good. So you take Kamara in round 6. I think in non-best ball it probably goes 5. So it's between 5 and 6.
Right.
That's good value. You're baking in so much of that being 29 years old, that risk involved. And then if you cuff him to Kendre, who's practically, I don't want to say he's free, but he's double-digit round type material. Kendre Miller is safeguarding that 6th-round value for sure. I think it is smart to cuff. It is a very good cuff. It's definitely on the cuff board as being one of the better cuffs in fantasy. Looks like we got Kendre Miller and Kamara in that tier that has Najee, Warren, Moss, and Brown, etc. So definitely love Kendre Miller. He's got a little bit. I don't want to say this to make people think I believe he'll be Kyron. I don't think he's Kyron's level, but he has a little bit of that Kyron-esque feel in terms of he, as a rookie, disappointed, and so everyone's going to run away from him and think he failed because he got hurt and he never really got. So Kyron got hurt his rookie year, never really proved that he was bad at all or anything. It's just everybody kind of, even myself, I was so big on Kyron as a rookie. Even myself, I didn't turn my back on him, but I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll scoop him up maybe here or there. But I was so disappointed. It's one of my biggest regrets in 2023 was not doubling down on Kyren because I was so damn high on him as a rookie. I was so high on him. I was so mad at myself all year long. I felt like it was my biggest mistake of 2023 was not seeing that through. And I don't just double down on everybody. Like, I'm not doubling down on continuing to double down on Devonte, who I want to, but I'm not going to because I sense that situation is not what we want it to be. Doubling down on Dotson, to a degree I am, like, because the cost of entry is great, but would I double down on him if he costs the same as last year? No. Christian Watson, I wouldn't pay Christian Watson value this year that we paid last year, but I'm absolutely doubling down on Christian Watson because he's so reasonable in a draft. But yeah, I think Kendre Miller feels a little bit like that in that people are writing him off because he didn't deliver. But he's very crafty. He's a very good running back. We loved him coming out of college. We had him highly ranked on this channel before the draft. And his spot isn't bad. It's a pretty crafty long-term situation, but we'll have to see how it plays out. But definitely a cuff. And as for Olave, look, we have an emoji. We have not, or I'm sorry, a drop here, an animation drop on the channel that I have not yet played since he's really been balling out. And I'm going to hold off to do it. And I don't think it's going to be archived or anything. Give you an example. Dalton Kincaid, you know that Dalton Kincaid crowning animation that we have? Let me see if I can play it real quick. This one right here, there was a long period where we didn't play this anymore. I remember having to move it on my board a little bit down to where I could access things that I was using more frequently, and it killed me. I was like, I'm going to move Kincaid down, and Kincaid started to become way, way more relevant, and then everybody loves Kincaid again. I feel like Olave's buried on my pages of animations and videos, and it pains me because I know eventually I'm going to pull him back up. But I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to be this year. I don't know if it's going to be consistently this year. I know Olave is a top 10 potential wide receiver. I like to think of Olave much like we think of DJ Moore now, and did think of DJ Moore, frankly, before he finally got, Fields handed to him and he became a top 5 wide receiver. Like, DJ Moore continuously danced in the top 5 wide receivers with Justin Fields. And so I feel like that's how I feel about Olave. I think we're going to want Olave in a better situation all year long, unfortunately. So hopefully Rattler works out.
Appreciate it, Smitty. Can I stay on the line?
Yeah, go ahead and stay on the line. Let me go over to Sebastian. You're live.
I have a gut feeling that Tank Bigsby, I think he's going to deliver this year. But I also do think Kendre Miller will hit as well. I think he'll be a little bit of a slower start to his career, similar to how Khalil Herbert was when he was cuffing Montgomery back in the day. I think that's what we should be expecting of Kendre this year.
Kendre, or are you saying Bigsby?
I'm talking about both. I think Bigsby's going to hit, and I think Kendre's going to hit. I think both of them are going to hit. But I'm saying my expectation is going to be what Khalil Herbert was a couple years ago when Monty was a starter. Or Kendre.
Yeah. For everything I just said about Kendre, and for everything that I said about Kendre because of Kyren, I think you could say that about Bigsby and say, hey, writing Bigsby off could also be a mistake. However, I don't think that you're banking on an injury. And maybe an injury occurs and then Bigsby gets a shot, but Bigsby didn't look good. At least Kendre Miller, I don't think Kendre Miller failed in the talent department or the performance department from what I saw anyway. Bigsby just looked pedestrian. He just looks so pedestrian. But maybe he grows. Maybe he takes a big step forward. Maybe he was injured and we didn't know it. He's being very coy about that information. Tough to say, but I don't hate the take, but I certainly don't find myself drafting any standalone Bigsby shares at all. Yet. That could change. but I definitely was high on him as a rookie, though, too. Chase Brown, 0 running back target, says Overcome. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat, Overcome, with a $5 hauler. Definitely feel like Zach Moss and Chase Brown together are an even better 0 running back approach if you're going to go that route, because then you're guaranteeing yourself that Bengals running back that should be ultra productive. But Chase Brown by himself holds a little bit of risk that you have the wrong guy at the wrong time. But, I mean, Zach Moss is a fantastic value. Like, you can get them both pretty comfortably together in probably the 80s and 90s and in some cases deeper. So I agree with you, though. Chase Brown's a really good player. I just like to have both of them. Thoughts on Brian Robinson as a 0 RB target? So it sounds like you want to talk a little 0 RB, Overcome. I definitely am not huge on Brian Robinson. I don't hate him. I think he was very productive, almost deceptively, in terms of what my memory would allow me to remember about him. And then you look back at the numbers and you go, damn. You know, it's kind of like when I look back on, I don't know. I guess there's not even a real good comparable to what he did last year. It was good. It was really, really solid. He's a tough running back. He had to go through a lot of adversity, so there's some thinking that he could be a lot better and healthier this year anyway. So I don't hate it. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think what it comes down to is that, and this is just for right now, it could change my tune on Brian Robinson. I could be a big Brian Robinson advocate later. It happens. I just think there are better options. I think that you're talking about 0 RB approaches that, Zamir White comes to mind as the very, very top candidate for that. And he's going like in the, what's Zamir White's ADP, Travis? I want to say like 70.
Like 83, 84?
70, yeah, 75 to 85, depending on the format. But Zamir's
87 on this one.
87. I mean, depends on the contest you're looking at, all that. So 75 to 87, his ADP. That would be my number 1 0 running back candidate if you were to try and grab one running back. You got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You've got Connor and Benson. You've got Zach Moss and Chase Brown. There's so many players that I would rather have than Brian Robinson Jr. personally, especially given his quarterback's going to vulture some running, touchdown production, rushes, etc. And then you have Eckler there to try and probably eliminate his PPR work. And then you have all these variables that kind of file him down to this certain kind of upside, that's very, very funneled into this small space. Like, I don't think you take away those rushing touchdowns, you get vultured on short yardage stuff, and then you also lose potentially your PPR work to Austin Eckler. I don't know. I just think there are much better, more complete options that are there for you. Not to mention, I'm not huge on 0 RB as much as I am hero RB, which is taking at least one big guy and then waiting till later. What Travis?
I was just going to say, I like B-Rob as a player, but I think that's the problem with him is, like, that ceiling is really capped because of the situation he's in. And I like him as, like, an RB2. But he may not even be able to reach that because of that cap on the ceiling.
This is similar to the Tony Pollard argument. It's like Tony Pollard, you've got Tajay Spears there, just like Eckler's in Washington. And you can write Eckler off if you want, so Eckler's garbage, whatever. But I think he's going to get PPR work. But you take Tajay Spears out of Tennessee, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, maybe Pollard needed another year, and maybe he's healthier and whatever. But Spears is not relinquishing a big chunk of that PPR work. Therefore, Tony Pollard has to be very good between the tackles. And the Titans playing from behind in the second half of a lot of games and just throwing seems more likely than them being up. So that means that Spears is probably your second half player. I think Tony Pollard's taken off the field a lot more than people want. And then so you're being like telegraphed the problem at the beginning of the year, and you're ignoring it if you think Tony Pollard is going to just overcome all that. So I feel the same way about Brian Robinson. It's kind of telegraphed. Unless something changes, and it might. $5 hauler from KH3 says, my league relies on sleeper app. Am I comfortable going running back with me picking Gibbs at 10 and Kyron or Barkley over London Adams. I'm fine with that. And did he say it's a 10-man or 12-man? I don't know. If it's 10-man, I especially like it, because then you're going to get more wide receivers to drop than normal. But I'm very okay. Very, very, very okay. I'm going running back. People are wild. I love that people hate that I love running back. 414 caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
It's Mikey. I'm calling from Phoenix, but I'm from Milwaukee.
It sounds like you're calling from Niagara Falls. What can I do for you, Mikey from Phoenix?
All right, so I just want to know, like, how much weight do you put into strength of schedule, like when you're looking at the players that you drafted?
Yeah, in KH3, just real quickly, I'll just say I love going running back, bro. Do it live. Just make sure you're going the right guys. And then if you get like DK and Devonte Smith or Tank Dell and DK later, you're golden at wide receiver. Don't let anybody tell you different. Balance is always a little bit better, though, if you can pull it off with best player available. So I will say that. I'm sorry, what was the player you said? Mikey?
I said, how much do you factor in the strength of schedule?
Oh, strength of schedule. That's right. Strength of schedule, I do factor it in, but I factor it in. That's it. I don't let it make me run away from a player. Sometimes people will be like, do you see that week 17 matchup? I'm not going to draft him. And it's like, you know what? You got to get to the championship too, though, bro. You got to get there. And if you're worried about a player not being able to overcome a matchup, and I don't feel like there's a matchup out there that scares me enough to say, especially given that most running backs, for example, and I'm not so much scared about passing matchups, to be honest, bro, because the way the playoffs, like teams fighting for the playoffs, defensive injuries,
right,
turnover from year to year, and changing ranking in terms of defensive, against the pass, like all that, it would be against the run. Like if a team was brutal against players against the run, like that could sway me a little bit. But if I'm so worried about a running back in today's day and age, when almost every running back is a PPR potential monster, I don't know what I'm doing if I'm running away from a running back matchup, a rushing matchup, when this guy could catch a touchdown pass and 70 yards receiving in that game, and I'm planning that far ahead. So in terms of like matchups and stuff like that, I don't let it affect too much. I let it influence me to be a difference maker if all things are equal. So if I'm looking at a running back that has the second worst running back schedule for all running backs, and I'm looking at a running back that has the second easiest, but I have them neck and neck, there you go. There's your difference maker, pushes you over the edge. But don't let it make you draft somebody. Don't let it make you completely change your mindset, and you're drafting that feels very much like drafting a position and not a player, drafting a stat instead of a player. I don't prescribe to it. So much changes from year to year, bro. So much. Like, and even injuries during the year. Like, remember Kyron Williams facing the Niners. How's he going to do? Tore it up. Niners didn't hold the Rams back at all. Like, this stuff happens all the time.
And Smitty, just to chime in on that, do you, in a situation like when you're choosing to start guys, if you have a stud, a top 5, top 6 guy, you're not going to sit him because he's facing a top defense against the pass, right? You're still starting like
always start your studs is a very common phrase, very, 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 very true phrase. Always start your studs. Never sit a stud because of a matchup. Now, if you got two studs, you got a borderline stud and then a stud that's going up against like just the worst matchup known to man. And like historically, this matchup is telling you, screaming at you, like, I'm going to have a very shitty day. Not to mention the quarterback's very bad against this team over and over and over. Like, and you've got AR5, and you're talking about like you have Mahomes. Like that's something totally different. But if we're talking about benching a bona fide stud for another player that has a good matchup, that is ridiculous. I'm not doing that. I'm never doing that. Never will do that. I think we've all been caught doing it, but I mean, like, that's not my mentality at all. I have to be tripping pretty crazy to be thinking like that. but always start your studs. You know, you're going to get things wrong. In that woulda, shoulda, coulda game, there's a guy that always used to say, I knew it. And we'd always say in our fantasy league, you didn't know it, because if you knew it, you would have did it. Because he always said it. I knew it. You didn't know it. You're always going to have those moments. But that's why best ball kind of was almost invented in a way, is because people were like, what if I started the right guys? What if my optimal lineup was set for me? I would have crushed it in this one. And when best ball first came out, it wasn't even called best ball. It was called, what was it called? And I'm talking like in the 2005s, 2003s, like it was way back in the day. And basically the first time it was introduced, people were like, this is crazy. Like, why would I want to draft where I don't set my lineup? I just draft it and walk away from it and check later. It didn't go over so well. That's why it wasn't popular when it first came out back in 2003, 2004. But, you know, that's essentially like what we're talking about here is, you know, you're always going to have moments where you could have went this guy or could have went that way. But don't let that dictate your week 7, because in week 5 it didn't work out. You're like, damn it, I should have started this guy over him. Then you're chasing the points and you're constantly losing on that battle. John, you got anything else?
Yeah, do you think Trevor Lawrence can actually perform to where he's going at, like his ADP? Do you think he performs better or higher at the end of the year?
I'm going to pretend I have long hair in this episode and flick my Trevor Lawrence hair back. Yeah, bro. I think Trevor Lawrence could definitely become what we wanted him to become. Not a top 5 guy. I don't think he'll be there. There's too many elite studs. But I think he could definitely be like a 7 to 12 quarterback. On the regular. Do I think he would always finish inside the top 7? No, I think that he unfortunately falls into a territory where every year that is like a blender. It's like you could finish 10 but be 20 points away from 7. You know, you could finish 12 and be 20 points away from 7. But I think he definitely has the ability to be every bit as good as Stafford, every bit as good as Goff, every bit as good as Brock Purdy, every bit as good as, you know, those guys, that caliber of player that's outside the top 5 consideration. I mean, he's danced in the 1s, the 2s, the 3, the 8. You know, he had a string of games last year where he was, you know, in a small window of time was like 1-8-2 or 1-3-8, something like that. I wonder how many people heard that Brock Purdy comment and were like, what? What? Did he just say Trevor Lawrence and Brock Purdy in the same sentence? Brock Purdy's amazing. What is he talking about? Oh. What else you got, John? You got something more than that? Come on. I believe in you.
Have the tide turned on your belief about the Chargers yet, or no?
What would make them turn? Like, is there anything? Have you heard anything? Like, what would have possibly sent me in a different direction? Just curious.
I mean, they've had a lot of the players that have come out of Michigan have done really well. Nico Collins, well, he's like the only guy that comes to mind, but they have Cornelius Johnson, who was, I think he was the wideout, the guy that was basically just stretching the field. Roman Wilson, and all their players seem to be, like, I haven't heard anything bad about him in camp.
Yeah, I guess there has been a lot of like, hey, Herbert's really picking this up really well. Like, I've heard a lot of that. But that's also like saying, you know, Herbert's picking up level 2 on Mario Kart, you know, really, really well. He's like, there's 15 levels to this, but he's only got to learn 2 of them, the first 2. I don't know. I mean, they're going to run a ton. They're going to run a ton. As much as I think this team's capable of maybe winning. And because I've never said they're going to bust. I just say I don't have confidence in what he's building. I could have built a better team than Harbaugh's built. And that could sound as arrogant and stupid as you think it does. I don't care. I know it to be true. Now, could Harbaugh out-coach me? Of course, I'm not a coach. But Harbaugh hasn't done a good job building this team, no matter what you say. Because he sent Keenan Allen away for a ham sandwich. Let everybody else go. Brought in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I don't want to hear that he's done a good job building this team. If I built him a team, he'd probably win a championship with it right away. I don't understand what in the hell he's been doing. So I'm not any more excited. No. Do I think that this team could muster up wins? Do I think if he can get the defense where it needs to be, because it needs to be where it needs to be for the offense to do what he's going to try and do with the offense, run the ball, drain the clock, throw sometimes, but it's going to be, I think the Vegas line's like 3,300 yards for Justin Herbert. He's a 5,000 yard passer. I mean, does anybody think I'm off base here? He's a 5,000 yard passer, and he's got like a 33 to 3,500 yard line in Vegas. They're not throwing the ball. But
appreciate it, Smitty. Have a great night.
All right, later, John. John's like, I'm out of here. Enough Charger negativity. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Travis?
I actually, can you hold on? I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's fine. Did Pal Derby drop 20 gifted memberships? Pal Derby dropping 20 gifted memberships. Let's go, Pal. Appreciate my boy Pal Derby dropping
$50. Give me $50, holla. Like that by the brother Smitty. Give me $50. Oh, yeah.
I just cleaned up, pal. That's okay, though. That's okay. This is what these moments are for. I just cleaned up. Pal Derby to the mother freaking moon. We haven't seen Pal Derby until, I think it was yesterday or the day before in quite some time, so we're very happy to see Pal dropping in. What a pal. Pal Derby to the mother freaking moon. Yep. So, phone line's open. If anybody wants to dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Phone lines are open. Dial in. Thanks again, pal. Pal Derby to the mother freaking moon. Where's what's his face? Wheel Snipe Selly, aka City. Where's our tax man? DW. I need a membership. Help me out, pal. Says A2. Hey, A2, make sure you got it turned on to accept it. You got to actually have that setting turned on. A lot of people just keep waiting their whole entire life, and they never end up. Herbert, you're a future Jet. I don't know, bro. I mean, his dead cap.
Years.
Yeah, his dead cap is not movable, my guy. There's nothing that can happen. Otherwise, he'd probably already be a Minnesota Viking. I really, truly believe they would have traded him to the Vikings, and Harbaugh would have drafted J.J. McCarthy. And then I really would have. I wonder what Sick Nasty would have thought of him. Honestly, I'd like to. Sick Nasty, would you have still liked J.J. McCarthy in LAC? I wonder. Jaden Daniels or Tank Dell plus a 2025 late first rounder, Smitty, please, says Rain. Dynasty Superflex, bro. Give me Jaden Daniels all day long. I love Tank Dell, but this is a Superflex, bro. And I take JD5 and a Superflex in the top 12. So that's an easy decision for me. Maybe other people disagree with me, but that's all right. That's okay. That's why we play the game. That's why we're here. Dial in, guys, if you have a question. I'll help you guys as much as I can. I will probably be going live tonight to do some drafting as well. If you guys want to draft with us tonight, Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. I'm going to pin the link in the live chat right this very second, but you'll want to sign up ahead of time right now by clicking the link. The link is in the description of the video as well. Code Smitty also gets it done, but you're better off just clicking this link right here, and I'll pin it. There we go. Jump in. They'll match 50% on your first deposit. So you do the $10 minimum, you get $5. You do $500 deposit, they'll give you up to $250. So 50% all the way up to $250. But you only have to do a minimum of $10. And the draft that we do tonight probably will be either a $15 or a weekly. We'll either do a weekly winner or a $25 Best Ball Mania. So get ready, get all signed up, get ready for the ball Cinderella, because we'll be drafting tonight. Appreciate you. Aiyuk and Debo to Minnesota for JJ. Come on, Silk. Like, that's not even a... What are you talking about? Why would you even mention that? Like, there's no pliable logic or worth even conversating, Silk.
Video game trade.
I don't even think that can be done in the video games. Like, JJ just...
True.
Like, JJ just... You can't even trade him. You can't even trade him, Silk. You can't even trade him. Still got to watch your trade video from earlier. Thank you, Superfish. Go check it out. It is I think, pretty good content. Silk, I'm just messing with you. Don't be offended by it. I agree with what I said. I wasn't joking, but I still appreciate you. Allen says JD5. Herbert to the Vikings. Wow, that would have been awesome. It would have been, but the dead cap wouldn't allow it. It was something that CTESPN was reporting was going to happen. And then he blocked me. Then Antonio Brown blocked me after I gave him so much promotion on that thing. JJ to Cincinnati would break the league. It can't happen. It's not happening. It's no longer even on the table. Like, JJ cannot be traded anymore. It's not even he's making $35 million per year, signed a big fat contract, and there's no movability anymore. It's not even something that should even be coming out of anyone's mouth. It's not happening. JJ does not get traded. It works, Smitty. I don't know what worked. Okay. Caught me in the shower, says Sick Nasty, but I still like JJ McCarthy. Not so much for fantasy if he was a Charger. Okay, you still like him though. I know you like him. He's your pal. Appreciate you. Anything else there, Travis? What?
Sick Nasty would like. I was talking to my buddy the other day, and he was saying he thinks JJ McCarthy could end up being the best quarterback out of this draft, and that he's really not so sure about 85. So.
Who said that?
Sick Nasty would. One of my buddies.
Oh.
I don't know why either, because 2 weeks ago he liked 85, but he's one of those guys that constantly changing his mind.
DeBalt with a $20 hauler. I'ma need a get Bijan drop, followed by the man who's 8 feet tall. Finish it off with an MHJ drop. Football season's here. Smitty out here helping us win championships. Get ready, everybody. Thank you, DeBalt. DeBalt dropping a $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Alert. Super chat alert.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
Breece Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Breece. He's Breece.
He does a whole of a job. A whole of a job. A whole of a job.
Breece Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a...
Hi. What would you like? Footballs, please. Lots of footballs, please. Coming up.
He's Marvin, he's 11 feet tall, and he loves to consume the football. He's Kyler, he's 4 feet tall, but starving Marvin will answer the call. They're Kyler and Marvin.
Appreciate you, DeBalt. Thanks for dropping the $20 holler, my mang. And then I think do I have any other super chats? This one's from Justin. Justin says, I don't like J.J. McCarthy that much, but I will say evaluation makes me take him once every 20 drafts or so. Yeah, I mean, the problem is he's not even guaranteed to start like anytime soon. So I especially don't take him in best ball, because what if you don't get to use him all year? What if you don't get to use him for half a year? I imagine he's going to start at some point, but there's even some rumblings about him like fighting for the number 2 job right now. So I don't know. I just don't. I don't think I could draft him anywhere, Justin. I appreciate you dropping that, but I just don't think he's got the value. There's too much risk involved, but we'll see. Great kid, great character. Love the kid. Freaking amazing, character that kid has. Bijan number 2 says Allen. I assume you like Brees or Gibbs number 1. Darnold will be seeing ghosts by week 8, says D-Town. No doubt about that. Pal Derby dropping footballs all over the place. Superfish dropping footballs all over the place. Feeding Marvin Harrison Jr., I assume. Jets will JJ will probably produce with Darnold. If Robbie Anderson can produce with Darnold, JJ can. I don't think so, bro. I don't know. Why does everybody like Darnold? And by everybody, I just mean the few people that speak highly about him. There's just a few, but they're loud. Matt Mayako, Niner beat writer, saying he's the best thrower.
Someone said something every couple of days.
I just don't understand Darnold, but he hasn't done anything. He's been sitting there, accruing cobwebs. He's probably not going to have, even if he had it at one point, it's gone at this point. There's no way. There's no way he comes out firing.
How long are you going to wait?
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Naheem Hines, I don't know. Not a big role, Silk. Jefferson will still be a top.
Where did Hines go again?
Cleveland.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, I don't see that either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
What was the Coleman news in the headline? I think I must have missed it.
Oh, I didn't even got to that yet.
Okay.
I somehow forgot.
Glad I didn't miss it then.
Yeah, no, you didn't. Okay, so Coleman, the news on Coleman. Let me see if I can get my phone. He's out there running routes right now. Thanks for reminding me. I feel like I screwed up the live stream now, because now everybody's looking for the Coleman stuff, and it's how far are we into the show? An hour and 12 minutes in. All right, here's Coleman. There's this footage of him running routes, and I'm just getting a strong sense that this kid is going to be something special. His work ethic is unbelievable. His quickness, he's out there running these routes. He's got really, really solid footwork. His hands are amazing. He's like Stretch Armstrong out there. His arms are absolutely just, he can go up and catch anything. He's catching one-handed footballs constantly throughout the entire workout. His hands are unbelievable. His attitude, his drive, his determination. This guy is just, he looks the part. I see nothing but, especially when you look at like a Devonte Adams with Aaron Rodgers and how that speeds along. You look at Christian Watson his rookie year and how that whole process got sped along. Josh Allen, I think, is the same thing. Diggs was a much better player because of Josh Allen, not the other way around. Diggs comes from Minnesota looking good, and he became great. I think Keon Coleman, whatever he was, it doesn't matter anymore. Had he gone to, let's say, Carolina and another player went to the Buffalo Bills, not even saying Leggett switches with them or anything, just if merely talking about Keon Coleman. If Keon Coleman went to the Carolina Panthers, I think he probably would have turned out to be what I expected him to be pre-NFL draft analysis. Good wide receiver. Maybe he could turn it into something special later on. Definitely solid. But Keon Coleman going to the Buffalo Bills is different. It just puts him into a potential category that you can't get in unless you go there. It's not like you can just develop into this player. Josh Allen might spoon feed him into becoming a low-end wide receiver 1 as a rookie. He might produce 1,200 yards and 8 or 9, 10 touchdowns as a rookie. There's definitely the possibility. The targets are there. Josh Allen's talent is there. The vacancy and need for a playmaker is there. This doesn't hurt Kincaid at all. Kincaid's still going to get fed plenty. There's a whole lot of room for Keon Coleman to become at least elite wide receiver 2 in fantasy as a rookie in 2024. And everything you're seeing right here is exactly what you want to see. There's nothing in this footage that doesn't stand out in glorious fashion. I mean, his footwork, his stop ability, what I believe will be just even that mere catch right there. His ability to stretch out for the football. Look at that. Look at that. That is a beautiful play right there. That is unbelievable usage of your body. He's not doing anything unnecessary. He's catching the football at the perfect point. That is unbelievable. This is the epitome of what this kid's going to be. And just the fact that he ran, you have people making fun of his 40 time. He was the fastest wide receiver miles per hour wise during the field drills when on the field. One-handed snags. They're not unnecessary one-handed snags. Look at that. Instead of catching one hand on those other plays, he's making contact with both hands. Fingertip catching, not a body catcher. This is the definition of what you want to mold and sculpt into an elite player. He could be an elite wide receiver. Maybe the low end of it for now. We don't want to get carried away and call him something that he, is too hard for him to climb into. But a low end elite wide receiver 1, he could become that. The situation, there were 2 situations that were gold, that were absolute perfect, and that was Arizona. Marvin Harrison Jr. got it. I wanted a Dunze to go to the second one. It was Buffalo. But quietly, I'm feeling more and more excited about Keon Coleman. And a lot of my best ball builds where I've gone running back, and grabbed Josh Allen, and even grabbed Kincaid. And I've got Keon Coleman as my wide receiver 2. Or in some worst case scenarios, I have a much different situation than that. And people laughing at Keon Coleman being one of those role players as a rookie for my best ball squad. You can take it, your opinion, roll it up real nice and tight and put it where. Because Keon Coleman is going to do some damage. He's going to do some massive damage as a rookie.
And the thing is like people, talk about, they need this type of receiver, that type of receiver. Like, Josh Allen is going to get him the ball, and so many targets got vacated between Diggs and Gabe Davis. And like on best ball, if I can't get him and Kincaid, sometimes I think him and Shakir too, because one of the two, at the least, you're going to have some huge games out of one of those two.
In the running back starts that I have, and in the Jamar Chase, Kyron Williams, Achane starts that I've had, and then I get Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And then I get Keon Coleman, and then I've gotten Kincaid in some of those. I've gotten Shakir. I haven't been able to get Shakir, Coleman, and Curtis Samuel because Curtis Samuel and Shakir go about the same territory. So you're kind of stuck grabbing one or the other.
I got that in one.
Yeah, you'd have to have back-to-backs or something at the right place. But I have everybody but Curtis Samuel or everybody but Shakir, and I love it. I love it in best ball. I think it's fantastic. Russian collusion on the line. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, my buddy?
Not much, man. Just
I love your conversation about Coleman. I think he's going to be sick this year.
Yeah, he looks special.
He is going to be like top notch. You see his leg muscles in that freaking video you showed?
Yeah.
He is like, you talk about, somebody could potentially hyperextend something. In that video, if he would have landed wrong, he would have hyperextended something. He's got so much muscle, he's not going to ever do that. It's amazing.
He's got good route running technique. He's quick. He's this right here tells me he's going to have a huge, extensive route tree. Just watching him run all these routes is understanding. There's even a point where in this video he stopped and he's like, "Can we add a cone?" And the guy that he's working with is laying it all out for him, and he wants to extend the route. He's like, "Let me add another cone. I want to go another time." Like, just unbelievable drive and determination, showing up early, working hard. Absolutely love this kid. Justin Rush says $2 hauler. I think people want something to stack with JJ. I'm not interested in stacking anything with JJ. I just think that's not going to help you at all. But I appreciate that. And then hold on one second. Let me get this $10 hauler out of the way from Calvin Krim. Hey, Smitty, I'll tell you why I like Darnold this year. Vikings led the league in passing yards last year because the system is set up for a QB success, weapons galore, and the coach grabbed him early in free agency. I don't care what the team used to be, though, Calvin. Thank you for the $10 hauler. Calvin Crim.
To the moon.
Calvin, you know I love you. This is not ripping on you at all. You're my guy. You're my boy, Blue. But I don't care what the offense is gone. That's like saying, I don't know. I'm trying to even think of an example of it. That's like saying...
Well, you know what they're going to say is that I see this all the time, is that they'll say, Nick Mullins threw for 300 yards, 411 yards, and 396 yards. And they lost every one of those games. They gave up 33 points, or 30 points in 2 of them, and it's like, they're not going to just do that all year long. Just have some guy go out there and just like, unless they're tanking or something, they're not just going to chuck like a maniac.
But you don't just, Kirk Cousins doesn't step out. Here's the rock. It's time for you to take over, Sam. Sam grabs the ball and just starts throwing missiles down the field. Like, it's not the way it's going to work. Unfortunately, Kirk Cousins comes with a special skill set of throwing massive amounts of yards. Darnold's not that guy. He's never been proven to be that guy. And to talk about Calvin, I appreciate you again. I don't take this a negative way. But to talk about, they grabbed him early in free agency. No one thought it was a great move. Like, it wasn't just because they did it doesn't mean it. Like, he knows something that other people don't know. If the Niners ever had to turn to Sam Darnold, it would have been a laughingstock. Like, they're very lucky they never had to turn the reins over him because they were like, Sam Darnold's the guy.
Let's expect that. Darnold needs like 20 seconds in the pocket. You don't have that in the NFL. They'll never get it.
Yeah.
The way you have to look at it to me is that they obviously believe in McCarthy. They believe enough to draft him.
They did maybe, but yeah. I'm not saying they don't, but I think the better wording is they did believe that they liked what they saw in McCarthy. I think they probably still like him, but we're hearing a lot of rumblings that he's not even guaranteed the number 2 role yet. And that could be tough coach speak, let's make him earn it. But I'm just saying.
But their thought in getting Darnold was their hope was he could fill in for maybe even the year and just get by. I don't think they're expecting to win anything this year, And so you don't want to be putting that together with JJ. You go get a better quarterback to pair with him. Like, you're rarely going to win with that stack.
Yeah, I don't know. I know some Vikings fan. I don't know, Calvin. Calvin, are you a Viking fan? I imagine you are. And that's okay. There's no shame in that. But I can't imagine Vikings fans think they're going to win this year. Do they? Calvin, if you're a Viking fan, let me know. Do you think you're set up to win? I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm just curious because I know Travis is a Patriot fan. He's not probably expecting, amazing things this year. He's hopeful, but he's not. I think he knows this is a year to figure some things out. Hopefully, get another good draft pick, and then come in and surprise people early in a 2025 resurgence or something like that. But I'm curious I'm curious if Calvin, Commanders fan. Well, there you go. I like that. But yeah, I don't like Darnold at all. I don't like Darnold. Matt Maiocco, the lead beat writer for the Niners, just made me vomit in my mouth the day he wrote that Sam Darnold has the best football out of any 49er quarterback that's ever played for the Niners.
Ever.
Everyone's like, wait, what? And people are like, calm down. He didn't say he threw the best. He said he had the best football, like the most pretty pass, the best. I'm like, bro, you know Montana, Steve Young. You know all the quarterbacks that came through here. You're really, really going to say Sam Darnold throws the best ball out of all of the Niner QBs that have ever played for the 49ers? That was the most ridiculously dumb thing I've ever heard in my life.
But Smitty, we've heard that before, though. Everybody says that Sam Darnold has a beautiful ball, but like I said, you got to have pocket presence, and he doesn't have any of it.
I don't even think the ball. I don't even think the ball. I think Kurt Warner's football looks better. A lame duck, beautiful lame duck. There's nothing better than a Kurt Warner wobbly lame duck football throw.
Oh yeah,
that's the definition of just absolute masterful tossing right there. I love when people didn't like that. Kurt Warner throw it 70 yards downfield like this, it'd be perfectly placed. So easy to catch, just sitting right there. Kurt Warner threw the best football. Kurt Warner. Hopefully Frankie's watching right now. Kurt Warner's 10 times the quarterback Ben Roethlisberger was. Chew on that.
Yeah. So Smitty, I sent you a picture. Smitty, I sent you a picture. I don't know if you got it. Because it kind of ties in with your breaking news of Aiyuk, and I just purchased a jersey off Pristine Auction. Started to shoot them up. I just got that, and now that with that news, it kind of upsets me a little bit because I thought I was buying something that could be eventually a money winner. But
okay, let me see here. Wait, you're saying, okay, say this again. This right here is what?
I bought it off. I got it off Pristine Auction.
Okay.
And did you see the picture or no?
Yeah, Brandon Aiyuk autographed jersey. Okay, what about it?
Yeah. Well, I just got it, and I figured, I know they're going to sign him, I'm thinking myself, and this could be eventually something that's good, worth money in the future. Now they're not going to extend him, maybe, so it's a fuck.
Yeah, it could be an antique very soon.
Yeah.
Or you could leave it in the sun and turn it orange.
You know what I thought about after I saw your breaking news?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to the Marsman champion.
Oh.
But it's not going to be for points, though.
Okay.
It's got to be for winning the league.
Okay. Well, hey, it's your giveaway. You could decide how.
You know how I feel.
Yeah, you could set the parameters on that one, no problem. What do you think JJ finishes this year? Top 5? That's a tough question, man. I think that if I was, he was on pace for, what was it, 1,800 yards still. Like, he still had an unbelievable amount of, but he's going to have a rotation of quarterbacks at some point this year. I think the offense is going to be different regardless of whether, Kirk was injured. It still was, they tried to implement the same type of volume and everything. I don't know what's in store for JJ. I truly think that he'll probably be right below that. I don't know that he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. I think he could be right there on that line, but I think there's a chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. could outscore him. There's a chance St. Brown could outscore him. There's a chance A.J. Brown could outscore him. And, of course, the receivers above him. Doesn't mean that they will. I just think there's a chance for it because without touchdowns, I don't know. I don't know how he'd have to get everything through the yardage, and I don't know that the team will be throwing enough to feed him 1,800 yards. So we'll have to see. Maybe Darnold is able to feed him touchdowns more than Kirk ever did. I don't know. It's certainly possible, but I think he's a borderline. That's why he's going in a best ball draft where one quarterback goes by the top 6 or 7. He's going 6, 7, or 8. So I don't think I'm off base to put him outside my top 5 because only Christian McCaffrey goes, in the top 5 in a best ball draft, and JJ's nowhere near 5. So,
what going off of that, what do you think of Addison this year?
I don't want him.
He was impressive last year.
Impressive last year.
10 touchdowns, so that could be very hard to match. 10 touchdowns.
I think it's going to be really, really hard to see him deliver on expectation. I don't hate him. I think he's a great player, but I didn't love the fact that he didn't land in a spot that and he still delivered. Kirk there. And even like you said, even so, he still had good production last year. But I don't know. I don't know that I like the way this is going to be heading. J.J. McCarthy, if he is in fact the starter, has not been proven to be a volume monster. So I just don't know what we're going to see. If J.J. McCarthy proves me wrong and just didn't have a chance, and he can be that, I mean that's totally different. That's going to be a totally different story. But we have no evidence. We have nothing to go on to suggest that J.J. McCarthy could turn into a volume king. He's supposed to be an efficient specialist, a really good game manager maybe, but he also played in a very unique offense that part of me wonders if I could have commanded. I don't know.
I agree with that, Smitty. I think JJ is going to be they're going to force him the ball. Of course, I believe they're going to force him the ball because he's going to be like a Randy Moss or something like that on the sideline. Give me the freaking ball, and it's not going to be good for Minnesota, I don't believe. And Addison is going to be probably in the back row. I don't think he's going to be much of anything, and it's sad because they had such a good wide receiver team last year. It's going to be sad.
Justin says with the $5 hauler, the Vikings liked McCarthy, but multiple sources have also said they traded up for May. Feels like May have settled with McCarthy, putting the pun in there.
That's true. They wanted May.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think JJM was a lot of people's last choice. They're like, okay, since everyone's talking him up, he must be somebody we take if push comes to shove. The Raiders would have took him. He would have went anywhere in that range. The Raiders would have grabbed him if he fell, and I wouldn't have been happy about that either. I would have been like, damn, now they're stuck with. I would have been saying the same thing. I personally, my goal was to get Penix Jr. in a Minnesota Viking uniform so that JJ could be protected. At the end of the day, I'm actually still very excited about the Falcons getting him because there's so many assets there that are protected in London, Pitts, Bijan. I'm more thrilled about that, to be honest. But part of me wonders what in the hell happens if Penix Jr. gets in. Is Cousins going to retire after 2 years, or will he go somewhere? Will he be somewhere else? Could he play for another team for 2 or 3 more years?
I could see him.
We'll have to see.
Yep.
He might also be just done with it, tired of the game. I don't know. But good super chats there, Justin. Appreciate that. And then we got one more from Rockout who says, Josh Allen will show it wasn't just because of Diggs, says Rockout. Which he already did too. Everyone is saying, there are a lot of pundits have said on TV recently. I've seen they're like, "Oh, Diggs, he's gone now. You're gonna see the Bills fall off. They don't have Stephon Diggs. They don't have this. They don't have that." Josh Allen did all of his good work in the second half of the season when Diggs was a no-show for almost the entirety of it. Everything Josh Allen did, all the touchdowns he scored, getting to the 50 total touchdown mark during the playoffs on the sum total of the season. This all happened without half of it without Diggs. Granted, Diggs was there for the first half of it, but if anybody was paying attention, there was no drop-off for Josh Allen. He was scoring touchdowns like a monster. And Keon Coleman might be better.
Miss the playoffs.
And Keon Coleman might be better at this current moment.
Halfway through the year.
At this current moment in Diggs, where Diggs is at in his career, Keon Coleman might be better, or at least the same, or could fill the void about 80%. It's not something that Diggs is he left and he's this amazing player still. He looked really good at the beginning of the year, but Diggs was very pedestrian. A lot of people think he dropped off. Ziggy, how old is Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs is 30 years
He's
old.
30
and
years
was
old,
born on
people.
November 29th, 1993.
Turns 31 during the season. Okay, losing Diggs doesn't do jack shit. They got Keon Coleman, who might just be better than him at Diggs' point in Diggs' career.
Yeah. And they got younger
he's
and
better for the Bills.
Yeah.
Whether he's straight up better or not, he's better for the Bills right now.
Yeah.
Period. We saw that with Diggs.
I think Josh Allen's the elite quarterback. He's going to get whoever he has to the ball, and he scrambles, which makes it even better for the wide receivers because the wide receivers can get open in that time frame, and it's a good thing for Keon Coleman. Yeah. I think he's going to be superstar this year.
He'd be great, man. Addison equals great young player in bad situation. Justin, yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Anything else? I'll be back.
See, Monty Kiffin died.
Yeah. Yeah.
84. So.
84.
Yeah. The last thing I was going to say was, it just seems like with people that are huge believers in Caleb and JJ McCarthy, it seems like they're always trying to convince people how good they are. Whereas, like, you know, and any of these guys could end up as anything. So I know, you never know. But, like, guys like Penix, it was obvious he was, like, the first or second best thrower. And across the board, JD5 and May were top 5 picks, you know. And like I said, I firmly believe, like you said before, that Caleb would not have been the first pick if it wasn't the Bears.
He wouldn't. It would have. The tie would have changed, and people would have. Whatever team was there would have switched it up. You could see it all over Ryan Poles' face. I'm telling you, when he calls Caleb, and it's all being recorded, and Caleb, it's so embarrassing. Caleb's like, "Hello," and he's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Who's this? Who's this?" And Poles just looks like, "Shit." Hey, he's like, "Yeah."
I really just passed on Stroud and JD5.
Are you ready? I've been ready. Poles like, I've been ready for months on this one. Oh, damn it. Damn it. I think I'm screwing up. It's like he was taking back his girlfriend that he broke up with for a reason, you know, and he took her back. And as soon as he took her back, he's like, damn it. Why did I broke up for a reason?
I knew there was a reason why I did that.
Yeah, and then now as soon as he commits back, he's like, oh no, like why did I do that? Why did I go? You could tell he was just like, no, like maybe in his mind he broke up with Caleb and he was gonna go a different direction, but then he sold on it.
Yeah. Hey Smitty, what do you think about AR5 this year?
When are we broadcasting from the backyard? Soon. Very good question. Maybe we try that tonight. What do I think of AR5? I think AR5 is going to the freaking space station and then straight over to Saturn.
Can he stay healthy, you think?
Oh, yeah.
I know it was a freak accident last year, but he's very like, he's the type of quarterback that every NFL team needs. Like, he's like so mobile and does everything. He's an awesome passer on the run. I'm very concerned with him injury.
But why are you concerned with him injury wise? Like, the only reason I'm asking is because people say this, but I don't feel like they have good logic behind it. I'm not saying you, but it's part of it is you're hearing a lot of people.
You know what it is? Because the NFL is getting so like people want to hurt people, you know, and that's what scares me, because if you see a quarterback on the run and they're within the distance that you can hit them, they're going to hit them, and that's not good for quarterbacks.
I get that, but just like think about it logically though. What quarterbacks are more likely not to get injured? Like when Cam Newton was running, he was steamrolling people. Nobody wanted to hit him, and Josh Allen continues to relatively stay healthy because he's just bigger than everybody. And so AR5 got injured. It was his shoulder. It wasn't like it was, you know, something crazy. It was like it could have happened to anybody. He landed on it, like, you know what I mean. So it's not like it's even like he got hit too hard, or I don't know. I think
Where do you think you rank him like right now? Would you rank him in the top 10?
Oh, top 5 to 6.
Okay, good.
Fantasy, yeah. I mean,
That's
he's
what I'm thinking, but
yeah. You've been away for a little while. He's on. Let me show the Marsman. He's on the Marsman.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Marsman.
Yeah, he has the Let me put it this way. He has the capability of being the number 1 overall fantasy football scorer this year. I'm not saying he is that. I'm saying he has the capability of being the number 1 fantasy quarterback per start. And I don't say per start because I want to caveat in injury risk. I just find it funny that because he got hurt, the trendy thing to say is, oh, I'm just worried he's going to get hurt. AR5 is going to get hurt. Everybody keeps hearing that. Somebody repeats that, and they keep repeating it. AR5 is going to get hurt because he got hurt, because he suffered a shoulder injury. Like he's not prone to injury more than the average monster big-sized quarterback. Like it's just something people say, unfortunately, but he's not prone to getting hurt at all. He's massive. People are prone to getting hurt by hitting him. Like he's gonna.
I think bringing up Cam Newton like you just did is a good thing to keep touching on. Not to say that they're the exact same quarterback. No. But they have similarities. They're huge. People doubted Cam throwing the ball at times too, and he got by with it. He did fine throwing, and no one was worried about Cam Newton getting hurt every single year.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
This guy played 3 games.
I know so many people tell me, "Oh my God, he's gonna get hurt," because I'm picking him in drafts in the 3rd round right now, and I'm like, this guy's going to be probably the number 1 quarterback. That's what I'm thinking.
Bro, you could ask anybody. If somebody just jumped in the live stream right now and I said Cam Newton, and I said AR5 is going to be a top 5 QB, and somebody just, let's say 10 people just funneled into the live stream right now, one of them might say something like, oh, he's going to get hurt. Like, that's just what everybody says. They don't even know what they're saying. They just keep repeating it. And unfortunately, you hear it enough and you start thinking it, and I think that's where a lot of people are coming from. They'll come into the live stream and say, yeah, AR5 is injury prone, or I'm afraid he's going to get hurt. Why are you afraid he's going to get hurt? Why are you afraid Josh Allen's going to get hurt? Are you afraid that, look at when you're big like that, when you're so massive, people are getting hurt hitting you. Nobody wants to tackle AR5. AR5 tore his shoulder. It happens. It's not like he was getting blasted, and he played 3 games too. There's not a history of injuries of any kind. The guy scored, 8 touchdowns in 3 games?
So, Smitty, I've only done one draft so far. Where are you seeing him go? Are you seeing him go in the 3rd round?
No, 5 to 6. He's a steal.
Okay.
He's a steal.
So he could be your 2nd quarterback.
Well, in a 1 QB he could be, yes. But you'd be foregoing a starter or 2 if you did that. I would only do it in best ball, which I love to do it, bully quarterback, because of the optimal scoring. But to take him in a 1 QB non-best ball would be a mistake, because then you're forced to try and rotate manually. Without optimal scoring setting the lineup for you, you're going to get it wrong. You're just going to mess it up. You're not going to have the trade value that you think you're going to get by controlling the market and having 2 tight ends or 2 quarterbacks. So only draft him as your 2nd QB in a 1 QB underdog fantasy best ball Coach Smitty type of draft, right, because of the optimal scoring. But you can wait for him to be your QB1 in round 5 or 6 and stockpile at other positions. But he's fallen to the 6th round so many times I can't even count, to where I've taken McBride in round number 5, or Kincaid in 5, and then in 4 you could take, Jacobs or whoever, or Tank Dell in 4, Kyron in 3, Achane in 2, Jamar Chase in 1, AR5 and Kincaid. I built that team. I can't tell you how many times. Freaking glory sitting there.
So you've also done this probably longer than I have, fantasy football.
Probably.
And at the beginning of the season, it changes to the end of the season. So where do you think he's going to move to? He's going to move up, I'm sure, in the draft. So where do you think he'll be, say, September, the beginning of the season?
I think if we get some buzz, he could be like late 4. I think he could be late 4.
Okay.
He could definitely be early 5. Just depends on if there's some sort of buzz. Like if
you don't think he'll move up closer than that?
No, because you got Josh Allen who goes in round 2, 3. You've got Hurts who goes next at around 3. You've got Mahomes who goes 3, 4. Lamar who goes 3, 4. There's just not enough room. The nice thing about quarterbacks is that there's only so many that will fit into the top 4 rounds because there's already a guaranteed de facto amount of drafters that will not go early quarterback. And then on top of that, when one moves up, you'll notice ADP will shove one down. It's typically how quarterbacks move in the ADP market. If Stroud goes up, then you're going to have Mahomes drop. If Lamar gets a big bump because of this and that, then all of a sudden you see Mahomes fall 3 or 4 spots into the next round. So the fact that, especially on underdog, Mahomes is going around 4 or 5, there's no room for AR5 yet. Could he surpass Mahomes? Yeah, but you know what's going to happen then? I'm even more on the Mahomes train, and I may never draft AR5 because I'll be taking Mahomes if he's going after AR5. But yeah, there's really no way AR5 can climb past, I would say, the late 4th round. You never know, but I think it'd have to be some sort of news, some sort of footage that people are like, holy crap, maybe out squats every player in the National Football League. Maybe he bench presses 220, a record-breaking amount of times that would break the combine record, and you're just like some footage of some kind, or Shane Steichen coming out and saying he's going to throw, 35 touchdown passes this year, whether people believe it or not, like just the fact that it's said, or Steichen comes out and says something like he's going to, I wouldn't be surprised if he has 4,000 and 1,000 this year. Like just something bold. Doesn't matter if it'll come true or not. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But just to have your coach come out and say something is the kind of stuff that moves ADPs.
So you think he's a sleeper then, pretty much?
Well, I mean, you don't make a Moon Man, a Mars Man, and a Saturn Man board if people aren't sleeping on you. So he's on the Mars Man list for a reason because he should be going higher than he is. So absolutely being slept on. Big name sleeper, of course he's one. People don't like to use that term. Smitty, sleeper has to be somebody that's unknown or whatever. Not in my world. And to be frank, I've been using the term sleeper before any other person you've ever watched. Not talking to you specifically or any of you. I'm not talking to you, Russian. But just whoever's watching, complaining about my usage of the term sleeper. I've been using it, coining it, way before whoever you think you're watching has been doing it. They were in their diapers, sharting their pants when I was using the term sleeper, big name sleeper, middle round sleeper, first round sleeper, last round sleeper, late round sleeper. Those are all terms that I constantly use and have used since 2002 and will continue to. So yes, I think he is a sleeper. He's been slept on for long enough. This guy's going to be a monster. His name's AR5. He's one of the 5s, and I don't know if you've seen this collusion, but sit back and enjoy. These are the 2 5s.
There are 2 5s? KD5, AR5? There can't be.
Oh no.
They're gonna cross streams.
I think AR5 needs his own separate drop. I'll figure something out. All right, boys, I got to go. I'll be back tonight.
No, that was nothing. All right, man.
All right, later.
Thanks, Smitty. Later.
All right, Travis.
Later,
I'll see you later.
Russell.
Thanks to my mods. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate all my mods. Thanks, Space Ricky, Blackbeard, Sick Nasty, Travis Rowe. Thank you, Sick Nasty. Appreciate you. I'll be back for a Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty live stream. That link is pinned in the live chat. Here's the link one more time for those of you that are too lazy to click the link that's pinned up above and you want to click this one, that's fine too. They'll match your first deposit 50%. We'll be drafting tonight. Make sure you're signed up now by clicking that link. It takes like 10 seconds. You sign up, $10 minimum. They'll give you 50% match on it, and you'll get a special pick in your account if you use that link right now and get ready for the drafts tonight. See you all tonight. Appreciate you.
He's Kyron. He's 7 feet tall.
Hold on.
He knows
We might have another super chat. Rockout says, Smitty, you watched Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Not yet. I started to watch it. I've watched the first like 20 minutes, and then I got sidetracked, and then damn it, I gotta get on that. Rockout, appreciate your super chat. Rock out to the moon. Now we're out of here.
He's Kyron. He's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron. He can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Legend has it if you say St. Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.
We've got, as Travis said, we got a couple spots left in this draft right here. It's a private, slow draft. I imagine that we will be able to fill this in the matter of 10-15 seconds here by just dropping that link right now. Click the link. 3 spots left. Private $3 draft. 2 spots left. Going once, going twice. 2 spots left. Hit the link. Jump in. Thank you to my super chatters today. Thank you to Hedge, Bryson, Rockout, Overcome, KH3, DeBalt with the $20 hauler. DeBalt, appreciate you. Justin, Calvin Krim, my man, with a $10 hauler. Bryson, Justin, Rockout, and then Pal Derby dropping the 20 gifted memberships like a monster. And we're full on that draft, by the way. 20 gifted memberships by Pal Derby. And celebratory message by Mind Jetta, 10-month membership question. Like Pickens a lot, but scared about Arthur Smith. I don't blame you. I think there is some concern for Pickens being able to maximize his upside and potential just because of Arthur, but we'll find out. I'm really hoping that Sullivan has a heavy hand in that passing attack, which would alleviate some of my concern for sure. And Fields getting in there. See you all later tonight. We'll be drafting on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Deuces.